Verizon Extra Inning Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
Ended right here, the pitch, a swing and a miss. That's a Redbird winner. A slider outside. Suarez took the bait. He strikes out. Light it up in downtown St. Louis as the Cardinals came back with a big answer to Arizona's 4-run 8th inning by scoring 2 in the bottom of the 8th, and the Cardinals were able to hold on and win 6-5.
How about that? What a game for the Redbirds today. Welcome into the Extra Innings Show. It's presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Joe Pott with you from Busch Stadium. You can join us all over the place. We're on all the socials right now, Facebook, X, and YouTube, KMOX Sports. Comment right there, and I can see it, and we can talk about it here as the Cardinals get a nice win today. You can also call in. Go old-fashioned if you'd like. It's 314-436-7900, and we can certainly talk about this one this afternoon. 6-5, the winner for the Redbirds. They're now 29-23. Arizona falls back to an even 500 at 26-26. The key in this one, the important thing about this game, I think specifically, is the comeback, right? Because there were plenty of times over the last couple of years, couple of seasons, when the Cardinals might take a lead late, like they did. They get 3 runs in the 7th inning in this one. Arizona immediately punches back. 4 runs in the top of the 8th for Arizona. And I think that the easy way, right, is, oh, here we go again. And that's what it felt like, certainly in 2023, and to some extent in 2024. But that is not the way that it feels in 2025. And I think you hear that up and down the interviews, whether it's pregame or postgame. Anybody that is talking to these players, the number one thing that comes up is confidence. And that is what leads you then to immediately punch back if you're the Redbirds, as they did today. 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. They hold on to win this game 6-5 here this afternoon. And I think for me, that's a huge part of this, of kind of defining what this team is in 2025. Because we've talked a lot about enthusiasm and energy and it being a young team. Then you see the whole thing, the young and hungry, right? Well, a young and hungry team that is gaining confidence is also one that feels like they are not out of contention. They are not down and out just because they've lost a lead late. Or if you heard our postgame show, our network postgame show, when Oliver Marmol was talking about the Randall Grichuk double in the 8th inning, which ultimately put Arizona up a run. It was a pop-up. It was a pop-up behind second base. You've got Donovan going out after it. You've got Victor Scott rushing in, and just nobody got to it. It just kind of fell in no man's land. And as Oliver Marmol said, this is a great defensive team, but regardless, sometimes there are mistakes that are going to be made, and then it becomes, how do you react? How do you overcome them? We saw today how the Cardinals reacted and how they overcame them. We saw 2 huge swings of the bat by a player that has, for the last 3 years, been somebody that we have focused a lot on in Jordan Walker. And we have talked a lot about going into this year, right? Is this the year you see what you have in a Jordan Walker? And he made a play that was maybe a tough play in right field. A ball got under him. Ball also got over him. The double that started the 8th inning from Ketel Marte was a deep drive that got over him. But regardless, it didn't bother him. He ends up with 2 huge swings of the bat. In the 7th, the double that drives in 2, and then right back through the middle, a single that drives in the game-winning run in the 8th inning. That's huge for a guy like Jordan Walker. You know who else was huge and who has been huge? That's Matthew Liberatore. His start today, fantastic. And that's been his MO the entire year. They told him he was going to start. They said there was not going to be going back and forth between the bullpen and the starting role. You know what you're going to do every 5 days, and that is you're going to start. And he has talked a lot about how that has helped his process and has refined his process. So today he goes 7, gives up 1 earned run, 6 hits, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. That is now 8 walks in 59 innings this year and 51 strikeouts. 51 strikeouts and 8 walks in 59 innings for Matthew Liberatore, whose ERA is down to 2.76 after the start today. He spoke to the media just a little bit ago. Let's hear from him. He talks about what he did today, really just keeping that lineup from Arizona off balance.
Mix of pitches, keeping guys off balance. They got a really good lineup over there. Not a lot of swing and miss in their lineup. So just trying to read swings and do as good a job as I can of keeping them off balance.
You've got quite a string of starts where you've left 2 runs or less. Is there any common component you see that runs through that?
I think just going right after guys, understanding who they are, who I am, how we match up, and then not being afraid to just attack guys.
Really, when you think about the lineups that you face, like whether it's Philly, KC, D-backs, there's just been a conviction about you, regardless of your opponent, on how you attack guys. What leads to that?
I think it's all in the process and the routines. The preparation leads to confidence, and I've been very consistent outside of the games and everything that I do, and I think that's translated to my ability to be confident on the mound.
The Cardinals said before the year, we've talked about this, that they wanted to give you a true, legitimate start or chance in the rotation to start. How much are you enjoying this?
Yeah, this is awesome. This is everything I ever dreamed of. When I got drafted, this is what I wanted to do. And to be able to go through what I went through the past few years and be able to make it to this position and now have some success in it, really couldn't ask for more, and I certainly don't take it for granted.
When they take the lead, you guys punch her back and get the lead back. I think this is 15 out of 19 now. Does it feel like you've got something kind of special going this bunch?
Yeah, I mean, we don't give in, we don't give up. You said it perfectly. When we get punched, we punch right back, and I think that's a really admirable quality about our ball club this year, and makes it a ton of fun to go to battle with these guys every day.
When you think about the work with Yoel since he's been called up, and what is it like just working with him?
He's awesome, super receptive, open to anything that I want to do. He does his homework, he's prepared, so I feel really confident placing my trust in him with calling the game, and we communicate really well together throughout the game. So it's been a lot of fun to work with him.
That was right at the end there. That was Matthew Liberatore talking about working with Joel Pozo, who I talked about in the pregame a little bit. They have a really good relationship, and they connect very well when it comes to prep and what they want to do. And then the other thing is they're on the same page once you get to the point where, okay, now we've got to adjust to what their lineup is doing, right? Because as we actually heard on the pregame show, there's only so much prep you can do. Then it's about what the lineup is doing and how you've got to kind of pivot and react. And they've done a good job doing that. They've talked a lot about that this year. We'll take a break here on the Extra Innings Show. If you want to get in, 314-436-7900, or if you're joining us on YouTube or X or Facebook or anywhere else and you're on the stream, drop us a comment and we'll be able to talk about it here on the other side of the break. One more segment to go. It's the Extra Innings Show here after a 6-5 Redbirds winner. We're coming back on 104.1 FM KMOX.
There's a big red barn where you say free. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
Alton's got soul. From river legends and limestone bluffs to downtown diners and haunted histories. And now, Alton's voice is louder than ever.
What a treasure it is to have like an actual like river resort town that close to us.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM. From the riverfront to the rooftops, you're always in range. 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of Alton, the voice of St. Louis.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. From startups to established businesses to estate plans, we are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. With offices in Missouri and Illinois, you can conveniently visit us today at sandbergphoenix.com. That's sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Walker singles to center. The Cardinals go back in front. A 3 RBI day for Walker, a 2-hit day. The Cardinals have the lead at 6-5.
Well, that was the big swing of the bat from Jordan Walker. It's the Extra Innings Show. It's presented by Graybar. Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. That was the second of two big swings of the bat by Jordan Walker, of course, because he had the 2-run double in the 7th inning that at the time gave the Cards a 4-1 lead, but Arizona came back, and thus the need for another comeback from the Cards as they got in that 8th inning there. An RBI ground out from Nolan Arenado, and then the RBI base hit from Jordan Walker. Last chance to get in if you'd like to, 314-436-7900, or hit us up on any of the socials, KMOX Sports. We can talk about anything you care to from today's win or from the homestand or perhaps what's to come for the Redbirds, which leads me right into what's on deck. It's presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best, chesterfieldfence.com. So for tomorrow, the Cards have the Diamondbacks, obviously, for the final game of the series. It will be Sonny Gray for the Cards against Brandon Pott for the Diamondbacks. Pott is 7-3 with a 3.8 ERA. Gray is 5-1 with a 4.02 ERA, and he's been really good at home this year. So you're the Cardinals. You've got a great chance to sweep the series. You got a great chance to finish this home standoff 4-2. And again, you've bounced back nicely after losing the one series that the Cardinals have lost since the beginning of May, which was the series to the Detroit Tigers, by the way, with the team with the best record in baseball. So nothing wrong with dropping 2 games to that team. But now they've bounced back already with a series win, and now perhaps with or certainly with the chance, put it that way, of a series sweep tomorrow afternoon. So the team continues to play well, and I've said this before, but I think they're obviously when you rip off a few games, and this whole thing started with that doubleheader sweep of the Mets, and they went on the road and they played Pittsburgh and they played Washington, and so they played Pittsburgh at home rather, and then Washington. And so I think it's natural for folks to say, all right, well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see till they play somebody a little better. You play Kansas City as a very good team. You win a series there. You play Detroit, again, best team in baseball. You hang 11 runs on them in the first game, and then they dropped, obviously, the last two. The middle game of that series being a 1-run game, well-played game. Again, nothing wrong with that one. Nothing to complain about as far as that one goes. And then now you bounce right back, and you've got it for you've got the chance, I said, to sweep again. I think we've got a caller, perhaps. Hopefully we do. 314-436-7900. I think maybe. Drew, let me know if we've got somebody on the line, and we'll certainly get him in here on the Extra Innings Show. Go ahead. You're on KMOX. Oh, that's an interesting question. So the caller was asking about why the anthem is not carried on radio and on TV. So that's a question that I can't answer. I can tell you what we do. My full-time job, I do a lot of streaming and broadcasting for SIU Edwardsville, which includes ESPN Plus. And for ESPN Plus, they prefer us not to carry the full anthem. So perhaps a little bit of the anthem coming back from a pregame break, but not carrying the full national anthem. And I would assume that's the same for FanDuel, and I assume that's the same for the radio as well. Just it's a decision made that a break is taken right around the national anthem because, it's not necessarily, I think sometimes it warrants you hearing the national anthem, but I don't think it's necessary to hear the whole, 2-minute national anthem or 2-minute, 15-second national anthem. That's not great broadcasting, I think. So I think in some instances it probably makes sense, but I think in most instances it probably doesn't make sense to play the entire anthem. And interesting enough, I don't know that people realize always, but like the U.S. is one of the only countries, I think the only country that plays the national anthem before every single sporting event, as opposed to just the bigger national sporting events. Obviously, like you get the World Cup, Super Bowl, things like that. But So I think because it is played every day at every game, I don't know that it's necessary to be playing on the broadcast, either TV or radio. And I think that's probably the decision that is made by the folks that control all of those. So if we don't have any other callers and no other comments, we'll wrap things up here on this edition of the Extra Innings Show. I will talk to you tomorrow on the pregame show, which begins at 12:20, our Ameren Total Access pregame show. Kevin does get one last comment in. Advertisements more important to the sales department. That's a legit point, Kevin. That's exactly what they're doing is they're taking that 2-minute break, and that's 2 more minutes of advertising that you can sell on radio and TV before these broadcasts or within these broadcasts. So I appreciate you reaching out, Kevin. 12:20 with the pregame show tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll have the first pitch at 1:15. Hold on one second. See that? I asked for calls. I asked for comments. Everybody waits till the last second. So I have another call. Let's get to Josh before we get out of here. Josh, you're on KMOX. Yeah, interesting point, and I appreciate the call, Josh, who said kind of like what I said earlier. Just I do really feel this is a big win, and I think because of the way it went down, because they were down, because they got up late, then got down, and then had to come back. I like that. I like the approach. The question of Helsley is an interesting one. I don't know. I can't answer that question right now as far as what they feel like they can do with Ryan Helsley. And I think that some of this probably stems from the fact that you're not seeing a lights out Ryan Helsley like you did last year. That's not to say you're seeing a bad Ryan Helsley. The situation is also different. We've seen a lot of time between appearances for Ryan Helsley where it seemed like there was at least a point last year where it was a little bit more regular. Now, obviously, he's pitched the last 2 nights, also he's thrown a lot of pitches the last 2 nights. He's appeared in 18 games. He's got a 3.5 ERA, 10 saves, and 12 opportunities. I think if this team continues to roll as they're rolling, winning series and ripping off some, multiple wins in a row, that's where you're going to answer that question because you're going to see, how is Ryan Helsley holding up? And is it still the lights out go-to Ryan Helsley? At least for right now, I think that you have to defer to him. Like that has to be your guy because he's been your guy and there's no reason to think he won't be your guy until he isn't your guy. That's kind of my point. So I don't know if they are, if the thought is trying to move him. I would assume that as long as this team continues to win and as long as this team is in contention, then why would you try to move that piece? I don't know. If only to clear way for some younger guys, maybe, as you mentioned, Michael McGreevy as one of those guys that could be an option there. Obviously, Gordon Graceffo has been very good as well when used at the back end of the pen. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate the call. So last call again, if you'd like to get in, 314-436-7900. Phil gives us a comment, says, "Go Cardinals." Appreciate that. Appreciate you getting in, Phil. Appreciate Kevin getting in on the comments as well. And appreciate our callers that made it in this afternoon. Again, tomorrow, it is a 12:20 pregame show. It's a 1:15 first pitch as the Cards go for the sweep behind Sonny Gray tomorrow. Big thanks to the voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, to Mike Claiborne, to Jim Jackson, and Kyle Sixta, all upstairs in the booth. And, of course, Kyle providing all of the post-game audio you hear on all of our post-game shows. Drew Young's been there from the start to the finish, keeping us in line and on time this afternoon. Big shout-out to Drew Young as well. I'm Joe Pott. I'll talk to you tomorrow on the pregame show beginning at 12:20. That first pitch is 1:15 as the Redbirds go for the sweep. Keep it right here on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning service